Okay, hang on a little while I try to do some setup here. Okay, can you all see this on your screen where I have the syllabus up?
Yes.
We're off to a damn good start here. Okay. I learned how to use Zoom last summer for the first time. Then we had to learn how to use Teams, and it was like apples to oranges. So I almost forgot everything I learned about Zoom. Okay. Well, in the interest of your time, let me get to the basics. Were you able to get hold of the books? Because I know I was concerned there'd be some problems with shipping and so forth at this point in time. So, okay, you got your books and you're good to go because the assignments are going to be coming fast and furious, as I said in that email. Okay, I'm going to go over the assignments while I actually go into the assignments section to make it easier. Um, but one thing, and I'll probably mention this a couple of times, but you're going to be able to see the exact same presentations I make in the classroom. But what I always say to the students in the classroom too, to do well on the exams, what I would suggest you do is before you listen to my presentation on that chapter, and I'll show you where all that's found, please read the chapter first. Then listen to my presentation. And while you do so, I would suggest you have your book open. And that way you can follow along with me because I'm going to be following the chronology of the chapter, although I'll be launching into a lot of side stuff here and there as I get off on tangents to try to make a point. And also I'll show you there's review sheets for each of the three exams. So my suggestion would be you read the chapter first, have the review sheet handy and your book open and just follow through the presentations with me in the book. And of course you can pause what I'm saying at any point in time to, think more about it, find where you are in the book. So that's what I would recommend. Everybody asks me, how can I do well in this course? That's the first thing I would recommend. Okay, but let me show you here. This is the standard grading at Cedar Crest in terms of what's an A, that's an A, that's an A minus, so forth. But I want to show you that there are 4 basic assignments you have here. And I'll go over them in much more detail. And I'm saying this because, oh great, I'm getting a section. My internet connection is unstable. Good. Okay, so when I taught this course during the semester, sometimes the students didn't understand there were 4 grading components to the course and got them confused. So I'm going to take extra time to go over these in more detail than you probably want to know to make sure you understand what to do. Again, this is boilerplate stuff given COVID-19, but if you are experiencing any kind of symptom of COVID-19, you're not permitted to go to class, but hey, just let me know, and I'll work with you. If you got any kind of medical thing going on, just let me know and I'll work with you, okay? I hope it doesn't happen to any of you, but if it does, we'll make it work. The worst thing that can happen is I can give you an incomplete for the course and give you more time to get some stuff done, as long as if it's any kind of a medical circumstance. So don't worry about that. The honor philosophy here is do your own work. Classroom protocol, we don't have to worry about. Okay, classes won't be canceled. We're all recorded, so. All right, and that's the basic course outline. So let me go to this assignments. You see that? Everybody see assignments? Okay. All right, so I'm going to go backwards here. We're just going to go to home. So you know how to find this. So here is my welcoming statement. I mentioned to everybody to be sure that you have a computer equipped with a webcam and a microphone, which apparently you all do. We wouldn't be doing this right now. And these are little things we found as we went through the ProctorTrack experience. Apparently, some of the browsers like Internet Explorer do not work with ProctorTrack. ProctorTrack is a device. It's actually an algorithm, a program that monitors you while you're taking the exam. And it's pretty amazing because, for example, if you're taking the exam and you're staring down like this, it immediately red flags me. When I watch the videotape that you might be looking at notes or something. And so I always tell everybody, just stare at the screen, you know, so this thing doesn't red flag you, because the algorithm is pretty amazing in terms of how it picks up everything. And the first time I used this, students didn't get it and they were getting it. They were just stopping and walking outside and getting something to eat. Somebody go, no, you can't leave the room. You got to just stay here, you know, because it's not that I suspect you of cheating. It's just you don't want to do anything that suggests that you might be. So anyway, I think too that I'm not sure that if you have a Mac like I do, that it works with Safari either. I usually use Chrome and there's no problems. And I'm sure it works with Mozilla as well. Firefox. So anyway, you should be in good shape with those two. Okay, next. If you scroll down, just go to, I want to point this out, announcements. I have a few already preloaded for you that are going to come out when they're ready, when the timing is right. But check this, you know, frequently, because I'm going to use this as a device to let you know any special instructions, anything's going on. What I'll try to do is always send you an email too. Now, again, you got to use your Cedar Crest email system because when it comes to coursework, we're not allowed to actually contact you in any other way other than through Cedar Crest email. So please do so. And again, I'll try to copycat all the announcements with also sending you an email. And I can't remember how, but I know there's a way you can link your email announcements to your email. And I forgot how to do that, but I know mine's linked. So, you know, I guess if you contact IT, they can tell you. I tried to figure out how to do it from Canvas, but I don't even know how I did that, but it does work that way. Okay, then go to assignments. And when you open this up, I obviously don't have this one downloaded into it for your future reference, but here's all the links. They're all in Zoom for the entire semester. The first one, as I was in the middle of recording the first chapter presentation, Zoom freaked out because too many people were using it. So there's part 1 and part 2. So you just have to watch them in that sequence. You get the whole thing, but they didn't have any tech problems with all the rest. So you just click on it, you can watch the entire presentation. I got lots of crazy good jokes throughout these, you know, so feel free to laugh or not. And it's the same jokes I use in every one of my sessions of SOC 100. So you're getting the full living legend experience, as I like to call it. Okay, then we'll go down to discussions. And I'll go over this in more detail. First of all, when you participate in the discussions, you just click on this. Like, let's see, here's the first one. And, oh, you already loaded up your paper, Sonia. Damn. All right, good. Yeah, I was going to tell you, these personal opinion statements, you can do them all in advance. You know, so everybody says, well, can I, you know, I got free time now. Can I submit them in advance? Absolutely. Just submit it to the right one. And then when we have our threaded discussion, which I'll explain in a moment, you hit reply and then just put in whatever you want. It's been suggested to me too that I haven't seen this to be a problem for most of the students, but thank you, Sonia, for putting the entire thing in here. I was going to ask you all, please don't load links in there because it's hard for people at a glance to see what you have. Then they got to open up your link, go back again. So just put the whole thing in there. And again, what I would recommend is, put it in Word first so that, in case you're in the middle of typing and there's some tech problem, you didn't lose the whole thing. So put it in Word first and just copy and paste it in here. Or you can upload it into there as well. So again, when it's time for a threaded discussion, just enter this, hit reply, and you're into the threaded discussion. So there will be 7 of these personal opinion statements during the semester. And with each one of the personal opinion statements, the day after you submit it, we're going to have a threaded discussion on it. So there'll always be a follow-up discussion. And here's where I think some of the students got things confused because they didn't realize there was always a threaded discussion, even though each time I would send out an email saying, don't forget, there's a follow-up threaded discussion. So, okay. Back to assignments. Okay, so this describes how to do the personal opinion statements. And this is where you're going to be using your taking sides text. So your task is to write a 350 to 400 word informed personal opinion statement. By informed, I mean, hey, you read the articles. Now, how this taking sides book is set up, and it's pretty ingenious and wished I would have thought of it. There's about 15, 20 of these taking sides books. And there's one on like taking sides on ethics and taking sides on peace and taking sides on the family. And what they try to do is the editors will take what they think are the current issues relevant to, in this case, social problems. And so one is obviously an issue that's been in our forefront for the last few years is immigration. So what they do is they go out and find somebody who actually wrote a yes position on it, is immigration in this case cost effective? Yes. Is it cost negative? No. So they find 2 different people in professional journals who wrote either a yes or a no position to this issue. Now, sometimes when you read these, you're going to go, I don't know, I'm reading this guy's apple and it's like this woman's orange. That's because they didn't actually go out and hire 2 people and say, you write a yes and you write a no to this particular issue. They just scan professional journals. And sometimes when they bring in these authors that they use, they copy their article. It could be a couple of years apart even when they wrote the article. So just thought I'd point out that's how they do it. So what the editors do is they first of all will take the issue, in this case about immigration, the first one, and then they'll write an overview of it. Then they'll give you the yes position, and then they'll give you the no position, and then the editors write a postscript. And that's it, and so they got all these books going, and all they do is write the intro and the postscript to it. So your task is to read the entire thing. Most of them are not more than about 7, 8 pages, and then simply tell me your opinion. That's it. I don't grade you on your opinion. I just want to know what's your opinion on it. Now, the one thing you can't do, and I wouldn't downgrade you for it or anything, I'll just point out, no, you gotta tell me what you think, is sometimes people say, well, this is a hard one. I don't really have an opinion on this. And my argument to that is you got to take an opinion. Immigration is happening right now. And you had the Trump approach to it, and you're soon going to have the Biden approach to it, and they're going to be different approaches. Now, you're going to have to, as a citizen, what are you going to do? Whose, position you endorse? If you had to vote on it, what would you do? So I guess what I'm saying is, in the political world we live in, there is no neutral. You can say, well, I'm just neutral. So let me give you an example. Let's say you think, if I say, what's your position on capital punishment? You say, I'm neutral. Okay, well, then I would hasten to point out that in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, capital punishment is the law. And therefore, if you're neutral, you are in fact in favor of capital punishment because you're not doing anything to oppose it. Does that make sense? There is no neutral. You're either for it or against it. And if you say you're neutral, you're in fact for whatever the current status quo is, which is fine. Again, I don't grade your opinion. One thing I would recommend too is people say, can I write more than 400 words? Knock yourself out. You got the time, I'm happy to read it. But you don't have to. And I try to do this to keep it manageable in terms of time constraints, that 350 to 400 words is enough. Can I write less than 350 words? You can, but you're going to get a grade of C if you do instead of an A, right? So, if you had, and what I would suggest you might want to do for your own benefit, if you're going to write this in Word first, is check word count. Make sure you got 350 words. Because I got to have some sort of a standard. And so that's what I do. I do it as a word count thing. The only thing I would ask is if you're in the middle of a sentence and you hit 350, could you at least finish the sentence? So right. In conclusion, Maynard, my opinion on immigration is 350. I'm out of here. Just finish a sentence. That would be kind of nice. You think, do people actually do that? Yes, but it's amusing. Okay, so first criteria is that you have 350 words. The second thing is what I would recommend when you read is I find that sometimes the whole idea about this is to create a little bit more open-mindedness on your part, even if you currently have an opinion. It's sort of like, I find it interesting. You can tell from my presentations, I guess I would describe my politics as radical, not even liberal. I'm left of liberal. But anyway, so I'll watch what was going on in the last 4 years, and I'll watch it on CNN, and then I'll watch the same event on Fox. And it's like, it's hard to believe I'm watching the same thing, because Fox will exclude things CNN does, and CNN will exclude things Fox considers, because they're all presenting a certain point of view, right? And so, for example, if you took a course here in media literacy, what they encourage you to do is watch Fox and CNN. So you get both sides of the picture, because each side is biased. So same thing when you read these articles. Sometimes when students do it, they only look at the I'm in favor of the yes position, and then they bring in all the strong points of the yes position, which is great, but they totally ignore everything in the no position. So what I would suggest to you is, and this is an exercise in critical thinking, is when you write your opinions, try to consider the point of view you don't necessarily agree with, and what is it in that point of view you don't agree with, like reference it. So I indicate to you, the other thing you need is you need 3 direct quotes from the article. Now, I don't mean 3 from yes and 3 from no. I mean 3 from the entire yes and no position. And you'll use it to indicate the point you're trying to make. I agree with the yes author when they said blah, 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 as I indicate here. So what I want you to do is, because it's a direct quote, so you're going to put quotations around it, and then just put in parentheses the page number in which you found it in taking sides. That's all you have to do. It's really simple. So again, these are all in the instructions. I'm just going over them now so you don't miss that point. So what I'm looking for is 350 words, 2 that you submitted it by the due date, which I'll show you, they're all listed for you, and 3 that you have 3 direct quotes with the page numbers cited. It's that simple. Now, I know when I teach this course, particularly first-year students, and they don't do some of these things, they go, boy, you're really particular. And I go, what are you majoring in? I'm just curious. They say, nursing. And I said, aha. So in nursing, if you're working with a patient and you don't fill the hypodermic needle exactly correctly, that's just a little mistake, but hey, the patient died. So I'm not asking much. I'm just trying to get you to stay focused. These, you got to have some criteria. So stay focused and do these 3 things. That's all I'm looking for. Any questions on that so far? Okay. Now I also give you a sample just to show you how it works. And you will see, if you read this sample, you will see there are 3 direct quotes. Page number cited is 350 words. Real simple. Okay, so again, submitted on time as per the schedule listed further on in this section, no less than 350 words, 3 direct quotes. And I'd also say, don't spend time spending, I don't know, 75 words summarizing what the yes author said. And then let me go and summarize what the no author said. No, I already read it. You read it. Tell me what you think. This is about developing your opinion. Okay, so please don't waste time on that. I also point out, plan and work ahead of time to allow for any possible computer issues. Well, you're not going to college, but you never know. We all have had tech problems. Say, okay, I got this down to the deadline. It's due at 11:59. I'm ready to submit at 11:55 and your computer crashes, So give yourself a little bit of lead time so you don't put pressure on yourself. So if you do those 4 things, right here, boom, you're going to get full credit and an A. It's really easy. Um, if you miss submitting it on time, it's a C. If you miss submitting it on time and it's not 350 words, now we're down to no credit, F. If you submit it late, no credit, F. And the reason for that is because everybody's supposed to be able to see your personal opinion statements as the launching point for the threaded discussions. So it's real critical to get it on time. So if you're late, it's an automatic F. If you miss more than one thing, if it's less than 350 words, but you met all the other criteria, then you're going to get a C. If it's less than 350 words, for example, and you don't have 3 direct quotes, then we're down to an F. So it's easy to do it well. Okay, and here's when each one is due. What I tried to do when I worked out the schedule for this course is I tried not to interfere as much as I can with you having at least a modicum of time to celebrate the holidays, as much as you may do. So I try to give you some freedom on the day before Christmas and the day after and so forth. But again, plan ahead and get some of these things done to lighten your burden over the holidays. Okay, everybody got that? Everybody understand? Excellent. Okay. Next, back to assignments. These are our threaded discussions. Now, first of all, in case you're not familiar with the concept of a threaded discussion, which I explain in detail here, but the idea is that we're trying to simulate a face-to-face discussion. So I teach this all the time in the classroom, and I thought about okay, how's it kind of go in the classroom? And so the idea is, number one, you notice we don't all talk at once. And when we do, then the instructor says, please, one at a time, raise your hand. Okay, so with a threaded discussion, the idea is to post one comment at a time. So the way I set this up is you're going to have a comment on each of 3 days. All right, so in the case of the first one that's due this Sunday, the following Monday, let me go down to here so you can see where this is. Here we go. So the first issue, does immigration benefit the economy, is due this Sunday night. Then on Monday, you're going to do your first posting. Your first post should be read each other's personal opinion statement. And then you might say, Sonia, I thought that was an interesting point. I would suggest blah, 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 blah. Okay. And so each of your first postings on the first day is going to be in response to somebody else's personal opinion statement. Make sense? Okay. On the second day, this is all explained here, by the way. I'm just going over it now. On the second day, you're going to comment to what somebody else said on the first day. It could be back to Sonia again, you know, or maybe this time we're going to talk to Chantel. You know, you made an interesting point yesterday, Chantel, and I would suggest that I would disagree and suggest this, this, and this, and feel free to disagree. Then on the third day, then you're going to make a response to what somebody said on the second day. Simple, isn't it? Okay, so here's what you're required to do, is to provide a post each of the 3 days. That's it. Okay, now, I'll go into a little bit about what constitutes an effective post. And you have to make the post within that time frame. So you can't say, well, listen, Maynard says I got to do 3 posts, so I'll just do them all on Monday. No. See, then you miss the whole point of a threaded discussion. I need you to make 1 post, at least 1 on Monday, 1 on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday. You can have more than that. Get into it. Enjoy the discussion. Usually students tell me this is the fun part. The tests aren't the fun part, but everybody says, oh, this is the fun part, you know, listen to what everybody has to say. So you can make more than 1 post, knock yourself out, but they have to also be somewhat substantial. So you can't just say, for example, here's negative, does not post anything, that's not good, or responds to the discussion with superficial thoughts. For example, if you say, I agree, Sonia, that's not enough. You got to go into more detail than that. Think about you know, like a paragraph of a response, something that would be substantial that you would say in the classroom, because that's what I'm going to grade you on. If you just come up with a one sentence response, that's hardly like saying anything at all. I want some kind of a thoughtful, substantial response, you know, and it's easy enough to do. And again, that's just some boilerplate stuff. You can go into in detail, but I already told you basically what to do. So these are the 5 criteria I'm going to look at. Initial posting discussion, quality of reply to classmates' postings, that would be the second day. Timeliness, did you post one in each of the 3 time frames? Did you understand the material? And grammar and citation. I mention this because sometimes students will say, hey, I found an interesting, you're not going to get extra credit for this, but sometimes they will say, geez, I saw an interesting link. Perhaps you would learn more about it if, you know, if you would see this link and share it with the class. That's fine too. No rude content. We'll go over that more in a moment. So anyway, you can earn up to 20 points for each posting. Now, I also point out, if any of the 3 required postings are not provided with respect to time frame, there will be an automatic reduction of 7 points. In other words, if you missed the posting on Monday, that's automatically 7 points reduction over your total score. So you're going to get a score for your 3 posts, okay, a total score. So when we're done with the discussion on Wednesday, I will then look at everybody's responses and then grade your 3 responses in total. Everybody got it? I don't grade each one. Okay, so when you get your point totals, this is what it evens out to. But also students say, how do I get, now if you come up with 3 nice substantial quotes or comments, postings, you're going to get 18 points. Want to get more points? Do more than 3 postings, okay? Add another one. You know, I'm encouraging you to do that because I want you to get 20 points and I want you to get involved in these discussions. You know, don't just go, I know how it is, because you'll see in some of my presentations, I talk about my rather slovenly college career in the 60s. And I know there's, you know, there's ways we go through classes where we just do the bare minimum to get by. And then there's, hey, go the extra mile and get it. So what I would hope I can do is give you guys each 20 points every time we have a threaded discussion, because, you know, you followed up, you have some extra stuff you want to make, you got into the discussion. I want you guys to get into this. Okay, so again, here is when each of the threaded discussions are, and when you have to do the postings. Again, this is always the day after each of the personal opinion statements are due. All make sense? Any questions on that so far? Again, you know, if when we're done you think of something, just email me. You know, I'll be happy to respond to you. So, because I know it's all coming at once. Okay. Discussion etiquette. Here's some basic rules. Avoid language that may come across as strong or offensive. We can disagree and still be friends, you know, and I point that out because, boy, have we seen a period of time where we disagree with each other, we hate each other's guts, and we don't even know each other. You know, I take Biden at his word. He's going to try to heal. And boy, do we need somebody to try to heal society, but he can't do anything without us also being willing to listen to one another and drop the hatred and just say, hey, look, we just disagree with each other, you know? Yeah, we got some different values, but we can still all make this work. You know, bottom line is we're all Americans here, you know? So anyway, there's no need to be offensive or anything like that. It's just, hey, good people can disagree. Keep writing to a point and stay on topic. Read first, write later. Review, then post. Watch the language of the internet. Again, you can read these. Consider the privacy of others. No inappropriate material. Do not post advertisements, solicit business, blah, blah, blah. These are kind of boiler. The sharing of pornographic material is forbidden. I thought that was important to include. Actually, I just copied this off somebody else's, uses this as general rules of discussions. I thought, hey, okay, these all make sense. Okay, back to assignments. Cumulative exams. Okay, so there's going to be 3 cumulative exams, each worth 15% of your final grade. Each exam is going to have 50 multiple choice questions plus a 5-point bonus question that all you have to do is answer it and you get 5 points. So no matter how horribly you might do in this exam, you're going to get at least 5 points. Shut up, Maynard. That's not encouraging. Don't worry. You're going to get the 5 points. Just answer. You'll see the bonus questions. Actually, most of the bonus questions they're fun questions. So I don't want to spill the beans on them. But they all involve me in one way, shape, or form. So your opportunity to get your shots in on me. Okay, each exam is worth 60, you're gonna have a lot of time of 60 minutes. Now, you don't have to identify yourself, but I've already been pre-notified that some of you do get accommodations, have extra time. And so I will make sure that you have, in this case, you get 30 more minutes. So you will have 90 minutes. Again, you don't need to identify yourself. If you want to make sure, you can send me an email and say, don't forget, Maynard, I'm the person with accommodations. Make sure you hook me up. Again, I talk about everything's proctor, tracked, examined, monitored, and so forth. And this includes a pre-exam onboarding verification process that must be done on the same computer on which you plan to take each of the 3 exams. Now, I'm going to be sending you an announcement that'll be coming up early next week to start the proctor track process. Despite me telling students to do this, they wait till the exam starts and then they try to do the onboarding and they're running all kinds of technical problems and go, well, meanwhile, day 1's gone by, day 2 to take the exam, day 3's gone by, you still don't have your tech problems resolved. So you want to do this sooner than later so that when it comes time to take the exam, you already got that sorted out. Some of the things I've noticed, I mentioned that you can use your Cedar Crest ID. Obviously, sometimes there's students taking this course that aren't Cedar Crest students. And I'm told you can use your driver's license, but sometimes for whatever reasons, Proctor Track can't read the driver's license, some state driver's licenses as well as others. So you're welcome to try. I'm just telling you what we found, as technical issues have developed over the times I've been teaching this course. So there is no final exam. So there's 25 chapters in the book. The first exam is going to cover 9 chapters. The second exam is going to cover chapters 10 to 17. And the third exam will cover chapters 18 to 25. And you will have a 3-day period to take the exam. So trying to give you some flexibility, stuff happens in your life. Maybe Monday, December 21st is not the day you want to take it. You want to take it on Tuesday. That's fine. You have up until December 23rd, once the exam opens, till 11:59 p.m. Now, I also point out, if it takes 60 minutes to take the exam, don't be starting it at 11:15 because you ain't going to get it done in time. So start well before that. Also, once you start the exam, the clock's ticking, so you got to keep with it. You can't pause it. You got to stay with it and continue to work on the exam. Let's see. Yes, there's no final exam, woohoo. So that means that your exam, the 3 exams will comprise 45% of your final grade. So that's the bulk of your final grade. So you want to make sure you do well in the exams. Now, I mentioned, and I'm pointing this out because last semester when I taught the course, everybody said, well, do you have exam review sheets? I go, yeah, did you read the instructions? They're right here. Okay, so all you do, let's look at one, shall we? It would help if it was right side up. Everybody see it? The review sheet? Okay. So there is nothing on any of the exams that's not on the review sheets. But I will caution you on this. If you just say, well, screw listening to the presentations, I'll just read the book and get these points down under chapter 1 and I'll do well. I guarantee you will not do well. These questions on the exam, the multiple choice exam, were selected from a test bank that goes along with this course. Now, the reason why I use their test bank is a couple of reasons. One is I don't consider myself any expert at constructing multiple choice questions. And so I figure, okay, these are done by experts and they're tested with students all around the country. So they're fair. And I'm thinking they're tested with average students around the country, and you are Cedar Crest students. Here you are at this elite institution. This should be cake for you guys. I see only one of you smile, a couple of you are smiling. Okay. I hope that, by the way, I said on record that this is an elite institution in case the provost is watching this. Okay. So what I picked out is they have like knowledge questions, which are basically just facts. And I think there's only 2 questions out of all 3 exams that are knowledge. And the reason why is because facts change. But you'll see why I want you to learn those 2 facts that I do want you to learn. You'll learn why when we get to those chapters. But these are all context questions. Okay. And so if you don't understand the context of the chapter, you're probably not going to be able to answer the question. And what I find that students do is they'll go to these and they'll memorize these and figure that's going to be enough. Well, there's a hell of a lot to memorize for one exam, and they don't understand it. They just tried to memorize it, right? And they do poorly on the exam. And usually when students tell me they're lousy on the exam and I ask them, did you just memorize? Well, yeah, actually I did. And I go, that's not going to work. So here's what I'm encouraging you to do. What I find is students are going through the motions of memorizing instead of trying to learn along with me. And so you don't have to, there's no need whatsoever. In fact, I would actively discourage you from taking any notes when you're watching my presentations. There is absolutely no need to do so whatsoever. But I would have my book open and I would have this sheet available, because when we get to the 5 reasons that are important for a global perspective of sociology, I even tell you what page number it's on. Now, why you don't have to take notes is because the questions are straight from the book. They have nothing to do with Maynard's presentations as such. All I do is read it out of the book when I give you the presentation when it comes to the question on the exam. So it's right there, because I don't want you to have any confusion. Is this going to be something you said on the exam? No. It's just straight out of the book. All I'm doing in my presentation is going over what is straight out of the book. And if you listen carefully, I am giving you the answer. Okay, which of course you only realize in retrospect, but I am, because I want you to do well in the exam. I'm not trying to trick you in any way. But the important thing is to try to learn along with me. Think with me. Every time you're ready to watch the presentations, think with me, okay? And you'll do well in the exam. You're going to try to learn the material as I'm going over it. That's the whole point of the course, not to just get through a course and get 3 credits, and get whatever you need to get on to the next thing. It's to try to learn about this. Okay, so if you think along with me, hopefully you will learn with me. Okay, so they're all here. Again, the first one covers chapters 1 through 9, and then each of the other 2 cover 8 chapters. Everybody got the drift on this? Okay, back to where I was. I think I covered everything. One thing I haven't done well this semester is, I don't know if you took courses this semester, you notice it was chaos for the faculty as much as it was for the students, because we were asked to teach. I taught 6 courses in the fall, and I had to learn to teach them some that I never taught before online. I had to teach them online and high flex, meaning for the, so what would happen in my classes is I'd start off with 25 students in the class, and maybe 5 were taking it online, high flex. Okay, that's fine. So I'm simultaneously teaching it online and to the class. And I had to laugh because as the semester went on, out of the 25 students, by the last day of class, only 6 were still showing up in the class and the rest were taking it online, which is fine. But if you understand from my perspective, I got to change everything I'm doing every week, depending on who's in the classroom. It just got more and more complicated. We had students doing group projects. Half weren't there in the classroom anymore. So now they got to start talking to each other online. It was chaos. And so one of the things I never got around to doing was figuring out how to set up Canvas scoring in a way that what is on Canvas accurately reflects your grade. I promise you that's what I'm going to be working on as soon as I get my grades submitted tomorrow from the fall so that it accurately reflects it. Because students were justifiably upset. We're like, Maynard, you didn't. I said, I know. There's only so much I could do. I was keeping up with the class and making changes as we were, and actually finishing putting the course online as we were doing the courses. So anyway, I hope to get that accomplished for you. Okay, back to assignments. Attendance requirement. I threw this in here because when I teach the class face to face, obviously I can tell whether the students are there. So I take attendance every day, and that's a part of your grade. But what I try to do is the tests are worth 45% of your grade. So I'm trying to think of a way to effectively curve the exams. Now, if you get an A in every other element of the course, and I'm not exaggerating, and you only get half the questions correct, you get a 50 average on your 3 tests, you're still going to get like a C plus, okay? Because all the other assignments effectively curve the exam. Does that make sense? So I don't take the exam and go, well, let's see, everybody got C, so I'll raise everybody's grade. No, I don't do that. What I do is I give you easy stuff to do to help offset the exam to effectively curve it. So I am not exaggerating. I've taught this course a gazillion times, and if you get just half the questions right, you're still going to probably get a C plus if you get an A in all the other parts of the course, which is easy to do. Get your statements on time, write them correctly, participate in the thread of discussion. And here's an even easier one to do. So what I did is there are 21 discussion days, right? Makes sense. There's 7 personal opinion statements, and there's follow-up discussion in each where you have to make 3 comments. So 3 times 7 is 21. So even if you posted all 3 comments on the wrong freaking day, I'm still going to give you credit for attending 3 class sessions. Get it? So all you have to do each time is post 3 postings, and you get 100% for class attendance that week. Get it? I'm trying to make this an easy A. Just make 3 posts. Each time there's a threaded discussion, even if you screwed up the timing, that will affect your grade for the discussion, but for the attendance, you'll get credit for 3 attendance credits that day. So that should be an easy A, you know? And that's worth, I think, 15% of your grade. So automatically that, you know, it takes the edge off the exam. Everybody got that? You see how that's different than the discussion? I don't grade this at all. I just say, did you participate in the discussion 3 times this week? Boom, you get 100% for class attendance. But Maynard, they were all on the wrong day. I don't care. You still get 100% for class attendance. You'll get a lousy grade for the discussion, but you get 100% for class attendance. Okay? All right. What else do you got, Maynard? We're only going to be here for about another 4 hours. Don't worry. Just kidding. Okay, contacting the instructor. This is how you can reach me. Don't bother calling me because I can't remember the last time I checked my phone because I'm hardly ever there like the rest of you. We're trying to stay persona non grata too out of safety concerns. But anyway, I am really good at checking my email, and no matter how busy I was this semester, and it was crazy busy, I always got back to somebody within 24 hours. You know, and I'm not going to be nearly that busy now. So I'll get back to you right away. Just email me if you got any concerns. You know, there's my email address. Or you know how it is if you're on Office 365, you start typing in my name and it pops up, and just send me an email. Now, I'm just going to save you some time. If you got a technical question, don't ask me because I am one of the most technically challenged people you'll have ever met. Anybody who took my courses this semester will attest to that. So all I'm going to tell you to do is say, Maynard, I'm having a technical problem with ProctorTrack. And then I'll say, geez, did you contact ProctorTrack? No. Well, that might be a good idea because that's all I'm going to tell you to do anyway. I can't solve your problem. So let's get into getting technical support. Okay, so I don't think there's anybody actually manning the phone. I know this semester they just weren't able to do that. So I think you have to actually contact it via email if you got any problems with Canvas itself. Okay. Um, yes, that's the same thing. Questions using Canvas for login. Oh, if you can't get into Canvas, contact them. If you're having questions using Canvas or issues, contact them. Okay. For problems with Canvas itself, if you'll notice when you have the course open, you'll see on the left-hand side, there's a little thing called, well, I guess they now change it to an exclamation point instead of a question mark, but you'll see at the bottom of the left-hand navigation area in black, it says help. When you click on that, you will find there's a whole bunch of different ways to get help. One is you can actually do a chat with them. Another is you can send an email to them and call them. And you can also, there are Canvas support guides, which I use all the time. So there's one for students, one for instructors. So those are all different ways to get some help with Canvas. Now, when it comes to Proctor Track, which is what you're going to be doing to onboard, um, you'll be going through Proctor Track. So any problems with onboarding or any problems when you're taking the exam itself, it's probably a Proctor Track issue, and contact them. My experience with them has been they've been very helpful and they're very responsive. They get back to you right away. And, you know, they were that way even during the semester when you got all the colleges in session. So now it's probably going to even be easier to get any kind of support you need. Again, don't wait to the last minute to onboard with Proctor Track. In case you do have any issues, you can sort them out sooner than later. That's it for the whole course. Any questions you can think of so far? If not, I will conclude with one last wrap I always do when I teach this course. You're nearing the end, don't worry. Um, this is more relevant to when we have our class discussions. I think it's important when we have our class discussions. I can stop sharing now. Back to me. When we have our class discussions, um, one of the reasons why you're at Cedar Crest College, whether you know it or not, is it's a liberal arts institution. And I know it means, hey, you got to take all those LAC requirements, but there's a reason for that. And whether you're aware of it or not, when you graduate from a liberal arts college, you're in high demand out there professionally. Um, I've heard this from so many employers, and why is because they know you know how to think. Um, I saw this was a couple of years ago. It was a brokerage firm, and this brokerage firm would hire nothing but philosophy majors, which is probably a good thing because my standard joke to philosophy majors was, what do you plan to do with that degree? Graduate and open up a philosophy shop? And if you're a philosophy major, I'm just kidding. But anyway, you know, but why? Because they knew philosophy majors really knew how to think, and they thought, we can teach anybody the brokerage thing. We need people who know how to think. Well, that's the beauty of going to liberal arts college. Okay, so liberal arts is from the word liberate, and there's two aspects to it. Liberate in the sense of liberal arts means that one, you can choose between options. And so that's what exactly you're going to be doing when you read the Taking Sides articles. You're going to have to make a decision. So given the information, here's two opposing sides. Can you make a decision? Okay, so that's why, and can you support your decision? The other thing it's designed to do is to liberate you from your preconceived notions. I saw something one time, and I think it's absolutely true, that 95% of what we learn is all programmed into our head already from growing up through the socialization process, and it continues to go on. So what this means is, for most of us, we don't have a lot of original thought going on. All we're doing is parroting what we've been programmed to think. Think about it. 95% of what we know is just programmed, like software into our brain. Now, that's okay if, in fact, what you've learned works for you, right? I noticed, for example, that first-year students, and understandably so, will tend to reflect the political opinions of their parents. Well, of course, that's what you've known growing up. Okay. Now, is that in fact your political opinion, or are you just parroting your parent? Not that there's anything wrong with parroting your parent, but it's a time in your life where you have to develop your own thinking, which may or may not be the same as your parents. And so it's that is the whole function you'll see of sociology too. Sociology's intent is to liberate you from your preconceived notions. Why? Is because we don't realize how profound the impact of the socialization process is on us, that it even affects our individual personal decisions. And we think, nah, 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 Maynard, I freely made this decision to do that. Really? Have you really thought about all the influences in your life that have led up to that, and all the processes and all the socialization, all the stuff you learn? Most of the personal decisions we make are pre-programmed and we don't even realize it. You're just following the program, right? And so the only way to sort through that is it's like peeling away all the layers of the onion to finally get to you. Yeah. So I'm not saying everything you learned up until now is incorrect. What I am saying is you have to determine if it's true for you. So in the world according to Maynard, which you're going to hear so often in this course, there are two truths. One is there is an explanation to the nature of reality. And we all have some explanation of that. In other words, what does this all mean? What is it all about? I know sometimes people say, why do we go into that stuff, Major? What does this have to do with me? But see, there is an explanation of the reality. Now, the question is your explanation in tune with reality? I mean, there's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why this is all happening. There's a reason why you're alive. What does it all mean? Now, sometimes we'll look to religion for the answers, and sometimes we'll look to other sources. But you have to have some understanding of it, because how else do you live your life in a meaningful way unless you can answer these questions? Okay, now, throughout this course, I'm going to give you not so much the world according to Maynard, but it is ideas I subscribe to. But that's not the point. And it's not religion, it's theology and it's cosmology. Theology is like explanations to the nature of the creator. Is there a creator? How do we relate to the creator? And cosmology is what's an explanation to the world, the universe. Why are we here? What's it all about? And so what I'm going to give to you, because this is what I focus on, this is what Maynard does his research on, is it's spiritual realization, and I teach an entire course on it. But I'm going to give you what the great mystics, the great sages, the great teachers across disciplines, across history, across religions, all have said, because there's a certain commonality I found to what they have to say. And some of it's going to seem like 180 degrees different than what you've learned up until now. But as I always say when I teach my metaphysics course, hey, if everything I said to you in this course was what you learned from day one, then everything everybody else would tell you to the contrary, go, well, that doesn't make any sense. Let me get this straight. God's perfect love, but God can also send you to eternal hell. That doesn't seem reasonable, right? But yet that's what a lot of us believe who are Christians. And I was raised as a Lutheran, so I learned all that stuff. In fact, I even attended a seminary, a Lutheran seminary, for a year. So I learned a lot about religion. And this is not to dissuade you from your religious persuasion. What I would suggest is most of what we learned from organized religion is incomplete. We haven't gotten the full story yet. We haven't learned it all yet. And over the years, organized religion kind of took the original messages, whether it's Islam or Judaism or Christianity, and kind of changed it a little bit in what was the best interest of organized religion, and changed the original messages. And so I'm just going to throw out to you what they have to say. You don't have to agree with it. I don't expect you to agree with it at all. Most of the time, when I say stuff in class, people just look at me like, what the hell are you talking about? That's fine. All I ask you to do is to understand the logic of what I have to say. Okay, so then we get to the second aspect of truth. The only truth is your truth. Whatever you currently believe right now is your truth. And I'm not trying to dissuade you from that. I'm just trying to give you another way of looking at it. Now, if this other way of looking at it resonates for you and you decide, oh, I'm going to think that, now that's your truth. You follow what I mean? But I'm not challenging your truth. Your truth is totally valid and I honor that. I'm just trying to give you another way of looking at reality. Because if I don't do it, where else are you going to get another version of it? And here's why it's critical. I'm going to come back to this in my final presentation, is my assumption is this: all civilizations are based on religion, which is what the great historian Arnold Toynbee said. So, in other words, we build our civilizations based on what we think is the nature of the creator, how we relate to the creator, and what this all means. Okay, that's great if we got it all right. But if it's all based on misconceptions, then the foundation of our entire civilization is based on misconceptions. And that's exactly my argument in this course. We have misconceptions about the true nature reality. A lot of what the mystics say is supported by scientific evidence, believe it or not. And I'm not, and don't misunderstand me, I'm not saying science and the mystics are one and the same. I'm simply saying that a lot of the scientific discoveries in areas like quantum physics are not at odds at all with how the mystics discuss the nature of reality. I'll just give you a quick example. Einstein demonstrated in 1905 that there is no such thing as time. There is no past, there is no future. Everything's in fact happening at once. That is something mystics have said for thousands of years. Now we scientifically know that's true. And there you go. What do you mean there's no future and there's no past? I'm telling you there is not. Scientifically, it doesn't exist. There's only the eternal now moment. Okay? So that's what mystics have said for years. Now think about it. That changes everything. So yes, in this time frame, we have to recognize, yeah, Maynard's got a meeting at 5 o'clock, blah, 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 blah. But it's just a convenience. It's just something we do in order to have some order to the way we conduct things in this temporal frame. But beyond that, time doesn't really exist at all. Okay, moving on. Okay, so again, if it's your truth, great. If it's not, fine. I'm just throwing it out there to you. Okay, so when we get to our discussions, whatever it is that you hold to be true, whether it's on immigration, whatever, I'm encouraging you to develop an open mind if you don't already have one. And an open mind means I currently have a position on immigration, but I'd like to believe that if you show me evidence to the contrary, I'm willing to change my mind. Now, I have gotten much better at that as I've gotten older, and I am usually open to persuasion. And I'm constantly seeking out stuff that disagrees with what I think in order to get more information, right? And so that's all I'm asking you to do. If you're going to be open-minded, it simply means that you have an opinion now, but you're going to read more about it. You're going to hear others' points of view, and you're going to say, you know, I hadn't thought about that. I'm willing to change my mind on that, right? So it doesn't mean don't have a position. Now, what I've noticed when I teach it face-to-face is students do say they have an open mind until they get to a certain topic, and then they have a closed mind. Well, you can't be selectively open-minded. You're either open-minded about everything or you're not. And so that's what I've been encouraging you to do. That's part of a liberal arts education, right? So you take all these liberal arts courses, because imagine the truth to be, I always think of the image of a diamond with all these different facets on it. So when you take a political science course, you're looking at that facet of the diamond. And when you take a sociology course, you're looking at another perspective of the diamond. We take an art course, another perspective. So a liberal arts education gives you the whole panorama of the diamond, right? Not just a narrow technical view, but you get the whole picture. So you can think on a broader framework from a broader reference point than people who don't get a liberal arts education. So when we have our class discussions, again, we talked about civility in the classroom, because sometimes when students walk out of the classroom, as I said before, they'll say like, well, I can't stand her because she disagrees with me. Going, what? What do you mean just because she disagrees with you, you can't stand her as a person? What the hell? How small is that? Yeah. And I think the other thing that discourages classroom discussion or even threaded discussion is people get all hung up on, you don't like my idea. And I would be the first to point out, your idea? You're the first one to ever think about that? You got that patented or copyrighted? I don't think so. It just happened to come through your head, right? And so as soon as you change it from my idea to the idea, now you're open to thinking about it, right? You're open to persuasion because it's not your idea. You don't have to be defensive about it. You don't own it. It's just the idea, okay? So these are all tidbits on how to develop critical thinking abilities, and not get hung up and not get your ego caught in the process by trying to own ideas. I find the most difficult thing is sometimes when students are working in groups to get them to critique their own work. And I get why you're hesitant to do that, But if I said, okay, well, your entire group grade depends on each person's contribution, and somebody turns in a piece of crap work and you were afraid to critique her on it, you know, it doesn't mean you don't like her as a person. It just means your work sucked. We love you, but boy, did this piece of work suck. You got to fix it, right? It's nothing personal. It's just your work, you know. I love all of you, but some of you aren't going to earn the certain grades, you know. It's like I've had many people take these courses over the years, and unfortunately, they earned an F. And I used to feel bad about it, but I don't, because now I realize I'm just the messenger. You earned the F. I'm just giving you whatever you wanted for whatever reason. Here you go. For whatever reason you needed an F. Here you go. And people have taken the course again with me. It's nothing personal. We all get along. Why should it be anything personal? Yeah. So anyway, does that all make sense? I'm just trying to help you develop as an open-minded approach and to help you beyond this course and what it's about, being taking a liberal arts education and how to develop your critical thinking skills. Whenever we're done, when you get your personal opinion statements, I will comment on them in Canvas and give you some feedback. Not feedback, I'll give you grade feedback, of course, but I'll also comment on things you said. And sometimes I'll play the devil's advocate and I'll just, give you something to think about. And then at the conclusion of all our discussions, after I send you all your grades, I will then post my response to the entire discussion. Maynard's opinion on immigration, Maynard's opinion on this, Maynard's opinion on that. I encourage you to read it. Some of it you'll have already heard, some of my points of view when you hear my presentations, but this is putting it all in one package for you to look at. Again, it's just for your further consideration. Nobody, the last thing in the world I expect is anybody to agree with me. I want you to develop your own thinking abilities and critically analyze what I say too, what any professor says. We're not perfect. I remember about 3 years ago, I made a mistake. So see, that was a joke. See, 3 years ago, I made a mistake. So I'm not, this is pretty much how the presentations are going to go too. You'll see. So, usually when I tell a joke in the classroom, the silence is like so deafening. You can hear like tumbleweed going across the classroom, or it's like holding up a shell to your ear and listening to the ocean. That's how quiet it gets. It's like, and then I have to tell everybody, see, I just told a joke. Did I just say something or did it? And it's like, yeah. Anyway, so hopefully you enjoy it. Hey, that's all I got. Anything else from you? Okay. Hey, thanks a lot for sitting in on all this. And again, if you have any questions, issues, oh, wait, I see somebody chat it. Okay. The 15th, when's the 15th? Aha. Okay. Okay, Tori. I'll work with you on that. The presentations, there's no problem with, but let me know when you get the book. Oh, the textbook. Okay. You should still have plenty of time to listen to the presentations. And I was thinking it was taking science books. So yeah, no problem, because the first exam, it isn't until after you get the textbook. Now, if you run into a time crunch, let me know and I'll work with you. Okay. But once you get it, if you're having trouble listening to all the presentations and reading all in that time, just let me know. We'll figure something out to make it work. Okay. All right. It's been great. Look forward to sharing the course with you. And again, don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions, problems, concerns. That's it for now. Stay healthy, everybody. Bye.